All right, thank you for joining us for our first ever episode of 8 on 8. Thanks for joining us on our Rochester First streaming app. My name's Andrew Banis. I'm the Assistant News Director here at WROC in Rochester. And we're so glad you could join us here today. Basically, the show here, among our many other great options on the Rochester First app, this one specifically is about 8 itself, or 8 talking about 8. And so every week we'll dive into some of the stories you saw on our newscast, maybe some you didn't see on our newscast, and we'll have the people who helped to put those stories together join us so they can go a little more in depth than what you might have seen on the TV or even on our website. Although we want you to keep watching our newscasts and keep going to our website, this is a great alternative to learn even more about these stories. So, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our guests for the very first episode here. You've seen them both by now, both pretty new to our area though. So we have Leah Mallory and Kendra Simpson, both of them reporters for us, MMJs. Thanks for joining us both and welcome to the show.
So excited.
Thank you for having us for the premiere episode.
Yeah, I'm honored to have you here, actually. We've been looking forward to getting the show off the ground, but now I think there's no better way to start it than with two awesome guests like yourselves. Kendra, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, I am from St. Joseph, Missouri. It's about an hour north of Kansas City, and I have officially been here at News 8 for 3 months as of the 14th, so I don't even feel like a newbie anymore. I feel like this is my new home.
Yeah, you know what? It's great having you here, and you've already done some exploring of the area. And then a little bit after you left, Leah, you joined us here.
I did.
Tell us about yourself.
I've been here, I think, officially for a month. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, went to school in New York City, and then I was like, I want to stay in New York. Came to Rochester, and it's been quite the journey so far.
And you're originally from the suburbs, right?
I am from the suburbs, so the city life is very new to me.
Me too. I'm from like basically out in the middle of nowhere, kind of. So how have you been adjusting to it? It's been weird for me personally. She don't know.
Stumped her already.
She don't know.
I know. The first question you stumped me because I went to school in New York City, but like then living in Rochester, it's a different type of vibe because it's a mix of suburban and city. So I'm getting used to the driving as well because I was used to taking public transit all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I think you guys both, although new to the area, kind of bring different set of perspectives because Leah, like you mentioned, you grew up in the Baltimore area and then spent a lot of time in New York City recently. So Rochester, a different pace than that. But conversely, Kendra, coming from St. Joseph, Missouri, what's the difference you see here in Rochester?
Well, in St. Joseph, our biggest news story typically was like a new business opening, and that happened like once a month, and that was the big news. We did it like 4 or 5 times that week. Here, it's new news every single day, and sometimes you get multiple stories a day just because you never know what's going to happen in Rochester. So here alone, I've covered like, I think 3 fires. I know there's been like 4 plane crashes. I've been to trial. I've just done a lot of reporting that I never had the opportunity to do before. So it's really like going from the shallow end of the pool, diving straight into the deep end. So I've had a great time learning how to do this real gig.
Right. And Leah, then on your end, do you feel the same way?
Honestly, it's slower paced than what I'm used to, actually, because, again, I'm going to school in New York City, and I did a few internships there. I worked at ABC 7, which is the local ABC station there, so they were quick, and they were on everything, and obviously, New York City is like the epicenter for everything that happens in the United States, so it was go, go, go all the time. I was happy to get here and see that it was a little bit slower, but I mean, I think to your point, it's still different for me, of course, because this is my first job out of college.
Yeah, well, both really talented additions. We're so happy you're here. And you've already worked on some pretty big stories. And part of this show is we want to look back at those stories. Kendra, you actually did one today. We're going to play it in a second here for our viewers. But tell us a little bit about some background on this story.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. In September alone, there have been 6 attacks and robberies on mail carriers. So the first one was September 5th. A mail carrier was punched and then his bag was stolen on Ackerman Street. September 11th, there was actually 2 in one day, a robbery from multiple suspects on Clifford Avenue, And then just like 45 minutes later, another attack and robbery on Dupu. I don't know how to pronounce that street. Dupu and Forbes Street. September 12th, the next day, another man attacked by 4 men, robbed of his keys. September 22nd, just earlier this week, another guy was assaulted and robbed by a group of guys. And then just yesterday, one was assaulted by a woman, and she didn't even actually take anything. It was just a random attack. And thankfully, he was willing to talk to us today, and he shared his story. And it was quite upsetting to hear, especially you could tell that it really still upset him even a day later. So it just really puts all this into perspective. Like, our mail carriers, they are essential people. We need our mail. We need our packages. And for some reason, a string of recent attacks, people are just attacking these guys out of nowhere. Like, nothing is aggravating them. They're just going after them.
Yeah, no, I think you summed it up there. There's this like, why is this happening now suddenly? And the guy that you spoke with today, who wanted to remain anonymous for his own safety, but was willing to speak to us just about what he's feeling, that anxiety really stood out to me. And I get it, because you got to go out there and do those routes again, and it's in the back of your mind. So that part was startling to me. I think you felt the same way.
Absolutely, yeah. And luckily, there is a Protect Our Letter Carriers Act. It has not been passed yet, but the bill will upgrade security measures for mail carriers. So hopefully that passes. And the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, they're currently offering a $150,000 cash reward for anyone who can provide tips or information that will lead up to an arrest. So, I mean, if anyone knows anything, really report it, regardless of the cash award. These guys, they are essential workers, and we really need them to stay out there. So if we could protect them, we should.
Yeah, that's a good point there. And I think if viewers haven't had a chance to see it, I think we have that video ready. We'll want to take a look at it.
While the job of a postal worker may seem peaceful to the average resident, it's actually had the opposite effect recently, with a string of violent attacks on postal workers, leaving some employees scared to return back to work.
There's a bunch of what ifs, but no, I'm not a what if that happened to me. It happened to other carriers. It's just traumatic. You know, I feel it's just sad that anybody has to go through it.
This month, there have been 6 separate attacks on postal employees, some resulting in a robbery, some at random, and some even involving weapons. It was here just yesterday on 7th Street when one USPS employee was randomly attacked by a woman, first with a glass bottle and then with a kitchen knife. The assailant was arrested shortly after the attack, and even though the employee didn't sustain any serious physical injuries, he says the thoughts of what if have kept his anxiety at an all-time high.
I'm petrified to go back out and do my job. I fear for my life. I could have died yesterday. As I got home and gave my kids and my wife a hug, I think the shock kind of wore off, and I'm very anxious. Unsure of going back to work just because of the fear of that happening again. Or there's no guarantee that won't happen again. No matter if I move to a different station or whatever, there's no guarantee something like that couldn't happen. I don't feel safe.
The employee said he signed up to be a mail carrier for the pension to support his family, as do many other postal workers. His biggest worry while working used to be large dogs, but this recent threat surpasses his initial fears.
Everybody's working is just trying to provide for their family. They don't want to go to work and have to be afraid of being robbed or attacked. I know that situations are tough and life isn't easy, but there's always an option to get a legitimate job.
These string of violent attacks are still being investigated. If anyone has any information pertaining to the attacks, please call 911. On 7th Street, Kendra Simpson, News 8.
And yeah, so Kendra, really well done story there. But like we said, you can hear that fear in his voice, and you understand why.
Yeah, and you can see it in his hand movements. It's like we didn't direct him to make his hands look anxious. That was genuine, and it was really upsetting to watch, and I really feel for the guy, and I hope he gets the help that he needs to recover from that.
Yeah, one more tracking for sure. Leah, I know you've been working on other things this week, but you've been following as we've been doing some of these stories, and today, what is your reaction to this one?
I can't believe there were 6. And when you were first talking about it, all I could think was how bizarre that people are attacking mail carriers. I feel like they're the least suspecting people, and you just want to get your stuff. But then at the same time, it makes sense because maybe someone wants to take those things. So I'm just shocked. I think the story was really well done, and honestly, the shot at the end, you looked great. But thanks for telling his story.
Yeah, Natalie Kuchko, she's been doing an excellent job of following this story as well. So if you don't have the information prior and you want to know more, I highly suggest checking out her stories as well.
Yeah, I think we've done a good team coverage on it this week, Natalie and yourself. Kendra, any other stories from this week that you worked on that you want to just give a shout out to that stand out to you? I know I'm putting you on the spot here. But anything that, or maybe that's coming up, or anything that we can just look forward to with Kendra?
Well, I do have my eyes set on a few stories right now. Nothing is solid, but potentially, I know there was a person peeping into people's homes in Greece, and it's really concerning. So I'm hoping to dig into that over this weekend. And there's also a new law, or a new act for alcohol, liquor licenses, that new places like axe throwing locations, basically any adult recreational center, they can apply for a liquor license, which is kind of confusing because a lot of these places already have those licenses. So I'm trying to dig into that, see what the difference is and whether people even care to have these licenses.
Yeah, no, both of those really good stories that I know we're pursuing. So we'll look forward to keep seeing what you're up to next, Kendra. But want to shift gears over to Leah now, who also had an impactful story earlier this week, pretty heartbreaking one out of Penn Yan. Leah, I'll let you tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I believe it was last Friday morning. A 12-year-old boy and his grandmother, they were home when a fire broke out. The 12-year-old, he woke up, he called 911 for help. They arrived, the police, they shouted into the home for them, but the residents didn't respond. The firefighters arrived, Penn Yan Fire Department finally arrived. They managed to get into the home, and the two inside did not survive. The young boy, his name was Ethan Parker, I believe. He passed away first, and then at a hospital later. And then his grandmother also passed away. But earlier this week, man, the time blurs, sorry.
It really does in the news world. You covered this story earlier on, I believe it was Monday this week.
Yes, it was Monday this week where we went out to Penn Yan just to see the home. And from the outside, it didn't look too damaged or irredeemable. But when we looked on the side, we could see that inside the home, it was completely charred. And it was really, it was pretty scary and sad to see and to kind of think of what it could have been happening that morning.
Yeah, I think we have that video as well. Let's take a look at that and then sort of discuss. I think you've heard about what's coming up next, but let's watch that video first.
A flower left on the driveway of this home on Cornwell Street in Penn Yan, where a fatal fire occurred Friday morning, leaving neighbors and family devastated.
So my mom, everybody in the community, of course, knows her, and she would do anything for anybody. She always did.
Murdoch tells us that her 78-year-old mother, Patricia Stenz, her sister Beth, and 12-year-old nephew Ethan lived at the home. Murdoch, who resides an hour away, says they were a close family.
When we would all get together here for Christmases. Yeah.
Christmas, Easter. I mean, I remember as a kid, this is the house this was Grandma's house.
Around 7:30 a.m. Friday morning, Penn Yan Police and Fire reported to 149 Cornwell Street after 12-year-old Ethan called 911 saying a fire broke out while home with his grandmother. Police say they attempted to enter the home, but the smoke and flames were too intense. They called out to the residents but received no response. Penn Yan Fire arrived and managed to reach the pair. They were both flown to Upstate Medical in Syracuse. Young Ethan died from his injuries, and we recently learned from the family that 78-year-old Stenz passed away yesterday. Murdoch says she was by her side.
It's just shock. I don't know how else to explain it.
Neighbor of 27 years, Robin Carmel, was very emotional describing the two.
He's always been a great little boy, so it's just hard to know that he's not going to be here anymore. I've come back here on the back deck and talked to him and sit with him and had nice long conversations, and Pat was like a second mom to me.
Police say Ethan tried finding his grandmother when the fire broke out, but was overcome by the smoke. And while the community continues to mourn their losses, they say this isn't what they'll remember the pair for.
Most kids would have just ran out and saved themselves. No, he is a brave little boy for going in and finding his grandma to wake her up. He's a hero in my book, and a brave little boy.
In a Facebook post, the Penn Yan Police Department says their thoughts
and prayers are with the family. Reporting in Penyan, Leah Mallory, News 8.
Yeah, you feel that emotion there, Leah. You were out there. I think you captured just the sadness and the tragedy of it. But what can you tell us from being out there?
Yeah, it was very sad. So the first person, it was hard to find people out there because it was in the middle of the day, pretty quiet. But the first person that came up to us, or who we saw, was someone in a car and they were taking pictures. And I went up to them and asked, oh, hey, did you know the people who lived here? Did you know this home? She said that she lived there before. Before Patricia Stenz was there, the woman who passed away in the home, and we talked to her for a bit. And then the neighbor came outside and she said that they had been neighbors for 28 years, I believe. And turned out something I wasn't able to include in the story was that her husband is a firefighter and he was the first person at the home. He got the notification on like his pager, I think that's what it's called, and he rushed outside, tried to get in, and he couldn't because the smoke was just too intense. And she said that he still beats himself up for that, and it's likely he might need other support to deal with that grief and that pain. And then Ethan's funeral is actually going to be this Sunday, and we're going to go out there to capture that moment. But with these types of stories, it's always important to be sensitive to what folks are feeling and not just to go there to cover the tragedy, because the folks that died, they're more than that. And that's really what we wanted to get when telling this story, what they meant to the people there in the community. And I hope we did that.
Yeah, no, Leah, you certainly did. It's a hard story, and I know both of you can relate to go into tragedies like that. Kendra, for you, I'm sure you've had to do some really tough ones and talk to people. When you see this, does it bring back memories of stories you've had to do just in general? What's that feeling like when you're at the site of a tragedy?
Absolutely. As reporters, this is our daily routine. Our daily job is to report on someone else's worst day. And as dark as that seems, that's the job. So it's just so difficult to kind of, I hate to put it like this, but you have to disconnect yourself from those stories because these are terrible tragedies and terrible heartbreak. And even watching your story just now, I had to sit here and fight back tears because you can't help but put yourself in the position of that woman who lost her mother, or the neighbor who, like I was thinking about my neighbors back in Missouri. There's 2 little girls. I can't imagine how that would feel. And I'm breaking up right now just talking about it. So it's just good coverage. But wow, that's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, and that right there, Kendra, to your point, these are real. We feel these emotions too as journalists. And it can be hard sometimes to cover these things. But the important reason, Leah, that you touched on, and Kendra, I know you know this too, is to try and tell the story with dignity and share their legacy so that those who know them, it's not just there was a fire in Penyan, but these are real people who, we're really special people, and we do our part to just share a little bit of that. Leah, you'll be going to the funeral on Sunday. Talk about, I guess it seems like you formed a bit of a connection with the family there, and tell us a little bit more about maybe what we can expect, what your conversations have been like.
Well, I didn't expect to see the daughter there. So for folks who might have missed it, Ethan and his grandmother lived at the home with, Ethan lived there, his grandmother lived there, and Ethan's mom lived there. So his mom is now without her son and her mother. So that's really sad. And while I was there with a photographer and we were recording some things, a woman walked up and a young man was with her. Turned out this is the other daughter of Patricia Stenz, who passed away in the fire. And we just approached her and said, I thought she was going to yell at us, and she would be well within her right to do that because we're at her mom's house and just filming. But she didn't do that. And we kind of asked her, we said, hey, we're here. We also saw this flower. Do you know who left it? It's really sweet. And then she told us she was the daughter. And we said, oh, okay, well, we're trying to do a story on them because we know there's much more to them than this house fire. It's obviously really sad. And we were wondering if you could just tell us their story. She said, okay. And that's how we got the interview with her. And I believe that was her son with her. Aiden Russell was his name. And, she started tearing up as we were asking her questions. I basically asked her, what was your favorite memory with them? How often did you come here? How often did you visit? And when she couldn't finish the sentence, he finished for her. But it was a sad day.
Yeah. No, I think you did a really nice job capturing a horrible tragedy, but capturing the humanity there and telling their stories. And I have no doubt you'll continue to as we move forward. Anything else this week that you worked on, Leah, that you think may be worth a mention for people to check out on our website?
Yes, actually, it was yesterday. I covered the story of the woman who passed away after driving into a pond on Route 31F in Macedon. There, and I went to speak to her church rector in Honeoye Falls, and that was interesting to me because the rector had mentioned that at I think it was an intersection that she was at. He mentioned that it was foggy outside and that there were no barriers there to stop her from kind of going into the pond. It was also 4 a.m. when she called 911 about that happening. So I did that story just to share more about her and what she was like and what she meant to the community. But I also think he brought up a legitimate safety concern about that intersection, if there really is nothing there, and if she couldn't see anything, when it was dark outside and when it was foggy. So I think that one's worth a listen.
Yeah, no, that was really, again, another tough one, but well put together by you, Leah. And then both of you, I know sometimes the follow-up to these stories, a tragedy happens, and the question becomes, how can this be prevented from happening again? I know you've probably both been at situations where people are saying that. So in this case, the foggy, kind of twisty, churny road there, is there some things that could be done? And, those answers are tough, but they're things that, as journalists, we ask those questions, and I know we'll continue to pursue that. Those were two tough stories that you both did this week, so I want to help liven it up a little bit. We had Adalisa Badzek, who is a fantastic reporter and producer for us. She put together a story about the inflation checks that are heading out. Have you guys heard about this?
Oh, I've heard about it, and I'm a little jealous because I was a Missouri resident this last year, so I don't get it.
Oh, man.
But I'm jealous of everyone else who
right.
is getting
It's
it.
even harder to watch.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm here now.
Yeah.
Does that count?
I'm bitter about it. Let's be real.
Yeah, so this is something that people will be getting starting today. It's already started to roll out. And it's something we reported on originally when the announcement was made, but Adalisa put something together today. So we can take a look at that, and then we'll add some comments after.
100, 200, 300, 400. That's how much you could get in your inflation rebate checks. So how does it all work?
The one-time payments ranging from $150 to $400 per household are part of the 2025-26 New York State budget. To qualify, you must have been a full-time New York resident last year and filed a 2023 state resident income tax return. The refund amounts are based on the 2023 tax filings, with single filers earning up to $75,000 receiving $200 and joint filers making up to $150,000 receiving the full $400. This morning, Governor Kathy Hochul addressed residents.
Starting very soon through the month of October and November. So watch for it. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If your neighbor gets it and you don't start calling us. Give us October and November, okay? I don't know the logic behind all this, but this is what I'm told is the time frame. So you'll have it just in time for your holiday shopping, okay? So I think that's a big win.
These checks range from $150 to $400 per household, and truly your eligibility is linked to completing that 2023 return. So if there are any questions and individuals need help and guidance, they can reach out to us at 900-1004 and leave a message, and we'll get back to them. We will issue a letter or mail. There should be no text messages, for example, in regards to this. So make sure that you are receiving a proper notification from New York State.
So what happens if you didn't file your 2023 taxes? That answer coming up at 6. For now, reporting, Adalisa Badzek, News 8.
All right, a good tease there by Adalisa, and I encourage everyone to go to our website where that answer is. But what do you guys make of that? Just, Kendra, I know what you make of it.
I'm bitter.
Yes.
I feel the same.
But Leah told me she'd share hers with you. That's what I heard.
I'm not even getting
Oh,
one.
so I guess I got to share with everyone.
that's
Fine.
Split 400
I got
evenly
mad.
3
When
ways.
she read the first requirement, I stopped listening because I was upset.
Yeah, you guys, both of you were like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We both live here now. We can't get in on this. I actually thought it was sort of funny how she said, I don't know exactly how when you're going to get it. If your neighbor gets it first, you'll have it in time for the holidays.
She knew people would be making some complaints real quick.
Absolutely. The follow-up is, wait, what if we moved here now? Is there anything? Can we get like a partial check, Kendra? Like you've been here, like 200. You were here half the year. Yeah.
What can I get for 1 month?
Right. We'll get Hoko on the line, see what we can work out there. But as far as just like an exciting thing, I think for people in New York, what do you guys make of it? Good for the economy?
I think it'll get some crosshairs. I think some people are gonna be very pleased with it. Like I would be super pleased with it because I'm a poor little girl. Some people are gonna be like, this is unnecessary spending. We should be focusing this somewhere else. So it's gonna be 50-50, I think. I think people are gonna be pleased and pretty upset about it, depending who you talk to.
Yeah, I think well said there. Like most things, it'll be a divisive with a lot of opinions about it. But yeah, thanks you both for joining us for this first show of 8 on 8. You kind of see what this will be all about, is showcasing our incredible talent here. And by the way, people behind the scenes will also be on here, so we can talk about just everything that makes 8 happen, 8 on 8. But both of you, if we want to see more of your work, Kendra and Leah, we can see you multiple times per week. We know some of the exciting things that you're working on coming up in the future. And for everything else, head on over to our website, rochesterfirst.com, and keep tuning in. 8 on 8 will be every Friday for you, and you might just see one of these two or both of these two on here again. Thank you both for joining us for the show. Any last words, Leah?
Have a good night.
Kendra?
Happy Friday!
Woo! All right, thank you so much. Have a great weekend, everyone.
See you next time.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.